Hello, welcome to the Citrus Garden. If you're new here, my name is Christina. If you're not new here, hi, welcome back. It's great to see you. This is a reading for Pisces, Sun, Moon, or Rising, or if you have any other significant Pisces placements, there may be a message in here for you. So Pisces, to get started, I'm getting a few messages. So the first one is the song Man I Need by Olivia Dean, who also happens to be a Pisces. So maybe there's a message in that song for you. I'm also getting the color blue and the crow or the raven. They are different birds, but I do think they come in with a similar message. So there wasn't anything particular coming in with those two animals, but maybe they're synchronistic for you. Or maybe you are being asked to look or to receive a message intuitively yourself. So those were a couple of synchronistic messages. And then I was getting something about like that you're either being asked to wait or you're in a pause energy, like the Hanged Man energy, which of course is a Pisces card, and seeing a situation from a new point of view, which is what that card represents. Certain interpretations of that card anyway talk about seeing something from a different point of view. But I was seeing this very specific image of like you Pisces sort of being I'm seeing this image of like in a circus where you know how they have like those like someone who's like throwing knives and you're sort of like pinned to this dial, right? Like this wheel that turns, right? So like you're how do I explain this? Like your point of view is sort of locked to the wheel is how that's coming through, which is very interesting the way that that's wanting to be said. So it's kind of like this wheel is being turned, but your point of view is locked to the wheel. So sometimes you're upside down, right? Sometimes you're sort of seeing something from the side, and I'm seeing this sort of dial or wheel that's turning with you locked onto it, right? Like that's how it's coming through. And it's kind of like like what I'm seeing is that you're sort of you were in an upright position maybe, or maybe you started upside down. I don't know. Maybe it's that, but I'm seeing you sort of like in the middle point where it's like you're going up to the side and you're slowly moving back up, or you're going down. I don't know. It like is just continuously turning kind of slowly. And so what I'm seeing is like there may have been a situation where you thought you were seeing something clearly, but now that this wheel is turning, and it could have something to do with divine timing, like Wheel of Fortune energy is also coming in with that now, where it's like you're sort of on the side, so you're still not seeing something clearly, but the picture is starting to become more clear, is how it's coming through. And then like gradually you'll reach the point where your vision is right side up, is how it's feeling. So I initially thought when I was getting this that you were right side up, but it was going upside down. But now it's coming through being like you started upside down and you're slowly being moved upright. So you're starting to see something more clearly, is how it's feeling. And that maybe there was some sort of illusion in the way that you were seeing something. And the example that was coming through with this is like a specific example is that you're getting some sort of change in perspective about someone or something. Like you're seeing someone, it was coming through as someone differently than you had before. And it could be in two different ways. The example that was coming through, for me, like through my personal experience, but for you, so just apply it how it resonates. There's an actor named Jacob Elordi, and he is in the new movie Frankenstein, which I think is on Netflix now. It was a really good movie. I highly recommend it. But anyways, he plays Frankenstein's creature, right? The creation. And he was so good in that role. But previous to this role, like before I watched this movie, was very neutral about him as an actor. I didn't really watch anything with him in it. Wasn't really a fan. Maybe even thought he was a little bit overrated. Like, kind of like he's known for being very handsome. He's very like physically attractive, that kind of thing. But then in seeing him in this role, where all of that sort of like physical, superficial looks aspect of him was sort of stripped away, right? Like he was presented as being this sort of like grotesque creature, actually allowed his acting ability to shine through, right? So there's something like this happening for you, Pisces, is how it's feeling, where it's like maybe somebody that you were neutral about, or maybe even had a dislike for, like it could be even something like that, is being turned upside down. Like it's being flipped in the opposite direction, where it's like maybe now you're starting to like and respect this person, when previously you may have had like either like dislike or were neutral about it, or didn't have an opinion, or just kind of like you had like there was no positive or negative reaction either way, right? Like that's how it's feeling. So it's starting to come through as being like something is changing in terms of your opinion on somebody is how it's coming through, like seeing somebody in a new light, and that feels very positive. On the contrary, it could also be that this is also happening in the reverse as well, where maybe there was somebody that you really liked or had an affinity towards, but now you're seeing them in a new light that's sort of not as flattering, or it's like you're seeing them in a way where it's like, I don't know, it's kind of coming through as like you're seeing an aspect of them that maybe you were ignoring before, or something like that. It's like there's a little bit of both coming through for you, Pisces. So just take it how it resonates. This doesn't have to be I don't think this is necessarily a romantic connection, although it could be for some of you, depending on how this reading resonates with you, or like where you have Pisces in your chart is what I'm getting. But it could also just be like colleagues, friends, family members, or whatever. It could even be something of like somebody that you don't even know very well, right? Like it could be something like somebody that you watch online or whatever. So just take it how it resonates, Pisces. I'm going to pull a card for you. But it's really interesting, that image of like the hanged man sort of locked to the wheel of fortune. Like I'm seeing something like a dial, or like something being like clicked into place. Like the wheel being clicked into place. That's sort of how it's coming through for you. Just interesting. Okay. So Pisces, could I get a card for Pisces? The Drowned King. That's so interesting. Okay. Not at all what I was expecting. And you have mortification at the bottom of the deck. The Drowned King talks about an ego death. So the Drowned King is a required phase in the process of transformation. Only through dissolving who they thought they were is the king able to become who they are destined to be, a kind and benevolent leader. When this card appears, expect a huge blow to the ego, impactful enough that it causes one to turn their life around, prioritizing grace over greed, benevolence over brutality, sovereignty over selfishness. The Drowned King eventually resurfaces as a fully changed benevolent being, and that was that energy of like turning your life around. So maybe there is something like that for you. Like something is turning around. Maybe it's like because the Hanged Man is sort of how I'm seeing you starting this reading, and so it's sort of coming through as being like your life is turning around. Maybe you're coming out of this Drowned King energy, like you were maybe in the past you suffered some blow to your ego or something, and it like now it's sort of your rise back up into something where your life is starting to turn around. It feels like in the positive, like it does feel like you being turned upright, if that makes sense. So this does feel like a past energy. I'm gonna pull another card, but it's coming out because I feel like there's something about like sometimes we there's something about like relative energies, like sick versus healthy, right? Or light versus dark. So it's kind of like something where this is coming through as being like a past energy that you were in order to show you how far you have come, where it's like maybe you were seeing something upside down and now you're seeing it right side up. And so the right side up image, of course, is the correct image, but it's like you I don't know, wouldn't have known it was right side up unless you saw the upside down image first, if that makes sense. Because I'm kind of getting something where it's like like there, like, you know, those like optical illusions where there's an image in both orientations, like right side up and upside down. If you flip it, if you're looking at it one way, it looks like a dog or something, but and then if you flip it the other way, it looks like an old man, you know, like it's kind of coming through like that, like an optical illusion where it's like you first started off seeing an old man, but then when you flip it right side up, the correct way to see it, it's like you can now see that there was a dog or something like that. Those are just examples that are coming through, and maybe they have a significant energy for you or a synchronicity. So the image, what you're seeing or what you're interpreting from it is different because your perspective has changed. Interesting. Okay, so the Drowned King. Benevolent Guide and Saturn. I think Saturn's in your sign at the moment, Pisces. And then you have Smoke at the bottom of the deck. Oh, that's very interesting. The Saturn energy, because the Saturn is masculine, right? But like Saturn is also represented by Jupiter. Oh, sorry, by Jupiter. By Kronos, isn't it? Anyways, I don't know. There's something about king energy that's coming through with the Saturn, or father or masculine energy. Saturn also comes in with discipline. The Benevolent Guide is a card that talks about like having an ally, like that you're not alone, and that because you have this Benevolent Guide, there is like you can't make a wrong move because you are guided. I'm feeling like there's a lot of this energy that is outside of your control as well. So you have structure, authority, and consequences. Saturn is known as the great ruler, the authoritative father, and the structuring force. Limitations, rules, logistics, and laws all fall under Saturn's claim, and they insist on our adherence. Saturn constricts, it corrects, it governs. The force of this planet is mind-bogglingly frustrating, especially for creative types, as it can feel like one limitation after another, yet its ability to support is unmatched. No creative project can come to be without the Saturnian qualities of commitment, endurance, and steadiness. The tick of the clock reminds us that this planet's steadfast presence, eternally measuring. It's no surprise it's associated with the metal lead and the qualities of density and weight. To embrace Saturn is to embrace the foundation and become one's own central authority. It's not as dull or as easy as it sounds. That's Saturn's secret. Yeah. The ticking of the clock, right, reminds us of this planet's steadfast presence, eternally measuring. So now I'm seeing this like, you know, those like ticker, tape kind of like optical illusions again, where it's like how film is made, right? Or in the past, how film was made, where it's like you have different images and then you move it very quickly and it becomes this sort of moving picture. That's sort of what I'm getting with this. And it's kind of like, but what I'm seeing for you, Pisces, is that you're on the spinning wheel. So it's like you're the moving image in a sense, or like what you're seeing is moving because your perspective keeps changing. And now I'm seeing you going sort of round and round, like right side up, upside down, right side up, upside down. And it creates this sort of like moving image, about like something that you're seeing, I guess, or like something in your external experience. And that perhaps is causing you to go through some sort of, so blow to the ego sounds like a very harsh way of putting it, but it could be just like you're seeing something differently than you were before, and it's changing how you maybe see yourself or how you see yourself relative to a certain situation. Very interesting though. Okay. Pisces, could I get a card for Pisces? An animal card for Pisces. Hyena. Very interesting, because if you look at this card, the Saturn, right, you have the sort of like split in half, light and dark. Very interesting, Pisces. The hyena talks about something being hidden, but I'm also still getting that image of like light and dark, right? Upside down, right side up. Like it's like flip-flopping kind of. But that flip-flopping is creating an image. Because I'm also kind of getting something about, like, if you think about in photography, how you have the negatives, right? The negatives to create the positive image. So both are showing the same image, but they're flipped in reverse. Interesting. So I don't know, maybe you're seeing something like, you know how, there's a lot coming through with this. So what I'm seeing is like, if you ever seen like a photo negative, which I'm sure everyone has at one point, where like sometimes you'll see a photo negative and it's like somebody smiling, let's say, but because it's the image is flipped into the negative, the teeth look black and their face sort of looks like, or like the, I don't know, whatever, like it, like, and the eyes are also black. Like it looks kind of like a little bit alarming when you look at it because everything's flipped in reverse. But then when you actually go to develop the photo, of course, everything's correct. And there's also something coming through about like this is so specific, but in our brains, we have a section in our brain that is specifically used for recognizing people's faces, right? So like you can see the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and that's all sort of perceived as a whole. And that says, oh, like I recognize that person, that I recognize as a face. And it's also like, you know, sometimes you'll see like a car and it'll look like a face, like with the two headlights and the grill being the teeth, and that's that part of our brain recognizing that looks sort of like a face. But if you were to flip the image of a face upside down, that part of the brain doesn't react because it doesn't recognize that as a face. It doesn't have the correct pattern recognition to identify that that's a face. But as soon as you flip it upside down, or right side up, I should say, that part of the brain reacts. So there's something like that coming through where it's like maybe there was something where you had no reaction to it. It was a picture of an upside down face, and your brain didn't recognize that as being something significant to look at. But now all of a sudden something's flipping upside down and you're recognizing that as being significant to you. That's how it's feeling. But in some way, you're the one who's having that perspective change. You're going through some sort of change where you're now seeing something the right way. And it's almost like putting up a signal in your brain that this is something that you should pay attention to, right? Like that's how it's coming through. But I feel like there might even be something of like an ego death that's happening with that, because now it's like especially if it's something where it's like you thought that, I don't know, like I'm gonna pull another card for you, Pisces. This is tough energy. The tiger. You have Cobra at the bottom of the deck. Okay, so So maybe somebody's seeing you like this. Also keep that in mind, but I feel like it's something that you're seeing. Or because I'm getting, especially with this energy, I'm getting something of like superficial, right? Like Jacob Elordi, or something superficial versus something true, like in depth. Like something that's been stripped down. Because Saturn to me also talks about that. It's kind of coming through as being like back to the basics of something. Like if you remove all of the like embellishments or the flourishes or like the superficial kind of looks to it, it's like, what is the core of this is how it's feeling. So I feel like there's something like that, like you can see the foundation of something. So for some reason I'm seeing this as like you're almost like the perspective of this reading is really interesting because normally the first cards that I pull are for you, right? Like it's describing your energy, but today it's almost feeling like your energy is sort of flip-flopping based on like what you're seeing. So it's kind of like this is what you're seeing. You're seeing this energy of like like it's almost like you're watching a movie is how it's feeling, and it's like you're seeing just as an example, Jacob Elordi in this movie, and your opinion of him is flip-flopping. That's how it's coming through. And in the past, maybe, and it doesn't have to be, like, it feels like a person, someone that you're seeing. In the past, or the upside down vision of this person may have been the hyena, but now you're seeing right side up as them being a tiger is how that's coming through, which is really interesting. So there may have been something of like you were seeing them, the superficial version of them. You were seeing the superficial version of them, which maybe you didn't resonate with, or like there was something like, because the hyena is it's not an easy energy. It talks about like hidden emotions, disregarding your own feelings and things like that, or glossing over them or making light of them in a way that's not healthy. The tiger is one that's very in tune with their feminine energy, and is very comfortable in darkness, and is very in tune with their intuition as well. And I feel like there's something here where you're seeing these two aspects of someone in this sort of dynamic way where it's like you can see how they go back and forth between these things, or like maybe you're going back and forth in how you view this person is how it's coming through. Interesting. Okay, Pisces. For the other, you have yellowing. And the sun splendor. The cards came out so fast for that, for this other person. Okay. And you have against nature at the bottom of the deck. The drowned king can also just be like an acknowledgement that you were wrong about something. That could also be part of it, or that I don't know. Anyways, the yellowing card talks about aging, transitioning, and warning. This indicates transition and leading us into the next phase of our alchemical work. Envision the yellowing as pages of a beloved novel, or the ochre blanket of leaves in fall. This color seeps out to signify the beginning of the end, a return to zero. Even a deep bruise finds a yellow tint as it reaches its final phases of healing. In contrast, yellow can be the marker of long-awaited growth, as seen in the first rays of the sun and the cheer of Forsythia in February. Whatever its message, yellowing tells the truth. It leads us forward, like the vibrant canary in the mine, warning of what's to come. Take heed. The transition is here, whether by yoke or bile. How to respond is up to you. It's likely you already know. Okay, so some sort of transition, of course. And then you have sun splendor, which says generosity, health, and abundance. This card specifically depicts the long-term effects of the sun's radiance. Think abundance, fulfillment, and altruism. Envision celebration and collaboration. But is it possible in our complex world? The sun's splendor says yes, one day and one ray at a time. When the sun's splendor arrives in the laboratory, the alchemist realizes that kindness and generosity are the secret ingredients. All other paths fall away. Through giving back to others in the world, we become more like the sun itself, radiant light and expecting nothing in return. Don't know where to start? Thank someone, then thank another person. Soon the alchemist finds they are not alone in their laboratory, and miracles arrive both small and large. Okay. This feels like a new perspective for you. This is the new perspective. Like it almost feels like someone who's gone through like, this feels extreme, Pisces, but like it's coming through as like a near-death experience. So it doesn't have to literally be that, but maybe some maybe you went through some sort of like harrowing, the word harrowing, like situation where like maybe it was kind of like a close call or something like that. Or it's like the example of a canary in the coal mine, where it's like you were working in the coal mine and you heard the canary and you got out of there just in time. Like that's how it's coming through. Like you heeded the warning signs. It was a close call in whatever way this is, and it doesn't have to be literally physically like you escaped death. Like it's feeling more like a spiritual experience, or like something where it's like it could have gone really wrong but it didn't. And it's like because of that, because you sort of quote unquote survived some sort of life or death experience, you have a new perspective, like having this sort of gratitude and generosity and like wanting to give back and like feeling blessed and all of that, which is interesting though, because this is coming through as like somebody else's energy. So maybe there's something here where I'm kind of like confused on who's who in this right now, because your perspective to me feels like it's kind of like I'm seeing you on this wheel. Okay, interesting. Can I get a card for this external energy? Maybe there's someone, like maybe you're dealing with someone. Okay, so it could be that this there could be a lot of mirroring happening in this dynamic. So it could be true of both of you. Like what I'm describing for each side could be true of both of you, or of like, both sides could be true for you is what I'm trying to say. But there's also this energy here of like maybe this other person went through this sort of like quote unquote near death experience, or like they realized that they could have it, like a situation could have ended up much worse than it did, is really what's coming through with this. Like that there was a warning of danger, and that they were able to successfully avoid that danger. And so now there's this sort of like gratitude that's coming through, and it could be that it's towards you, right? Like this is how it's feeling. Is like, I feel like in terms of how this relates to you, it could be that someone has, you have, cosmic egg, a sort of gratitude towards you. And I feel, so it could also be that this person was seeing you as a hyena when you are not, right? That could also be one interpretation of it. Like they were seeing you as Jacob Elordi, like someone who's very attractive, but perhaps maybe doesn't have as much talent as he thinks he does. But now they are truly seeing like your worth or your talent or whatever, like that. It's that kind of energy. So just take it how it resonates. Pisces, that's just an example. The cosmic egg, though, talks about the crown chakra. So they're having some sort of awakening. It feels kind of like something, it's almost also coming through as like a Scrooge energy. Like, and then you have lion at the bottom of the deck and vulture, which is very interesting. Like Scrooge, how he has this sort of transformation after he's seen the ghosts of past, present, and future. It's like he's like, because he can see how if he continued along that path, interesting, Scrooge can see that if he continued along the path that he was on, he would have ended up like alone and miserable, and like all this horrible stuff would have happened. But it's kind of like he changed his life. He turned his life around in order to stop that future from happening, right? And I feel like that's sort of what this energy is coming through it. The other, that I don't know if you had something to do with this, Pisces. Perhaps you did, where I don't know, like maybe you said something Maybe your presence in this person's life changed their perspective in such a significant way that it shifted the path that they were on. That feels really intense, so just take that if it resonates. Because your energy is coming out with Saturn, right? Like maybe there was some sort of like, because Saturn comes in with this energy of correcting something, discipline, focus as well. Like, interesting. Maybe there's also something here with the hyena and the drowned king. I keep going back to Jacob Elordi for some reason. Where it's like, maybe there was something that you were doing to contribute to this perception of, like, Jacob Elordi, as an example, the actor who, like, takes similar roles, right? Like, takes the role of a very, like, his main trait, like, the role being someone who's very attractive. But in taking different roles, like that of Frankenstein's creature, where that sort of, he can't sort of rely on that aspect of his craft, right? Like the fact that he is physically attractive, he can't rely on that, allows this new aspect of himself to come through. That's sort of what I'm seeing for you, Pisces. I don't mean to offend anyone. That's just especially the hyena, though, that there is this energy of, like, hiding behind a mask, that I feel like maybe there's something here where you were not being authentic in your expression, and maybe relying on an aspect of yourself that was preventing the true, like, tiger aspect of you from shining through, right? Like this, the tiger talks about divine feminine energy, which is interesting because the sun splendor has this masculine energy. So it's kind of feeling like there's an aspect of, regardless of what your gender is, Pisces, there's an aspect of your feminine energy that's being allowed to come through, that I feel like maybe didn't have the chance to shine because there was this sort of, like, superficial or I want to say easy way of people interacting with you, right? Like maybe you are very physically attractive, and that was sort of like the thing that people connected with you the most, or like in a way that was easier. And now that part of you is like, not that it's not available, but it's like you can't rely on that aspect of you, and so you're being encouraged, or like you're having to work on connecting with people in a different way that taps into this energy with the tiger. The tiger also comes in with, like, having firm boundaries. It, and in terms of, like, whatever that trait is, so of course it's not going to be like physical attractiveness for everybody, but it could be something like whatever is really easy for you. So maybe you're always, like, very good at school, or maybe you're like, you have money, or like whatever it is, right? It could be any sort of trait that I feel like maybe was always a given for you, right? It was always very easy, and it was always something that, like, people were attracted to you, or like you received recognition for a lot, or like that you it was just easy. It's just how that's coming through. Anyways, I'm gonna pull a few tarot cards just to end the reading. Yeah. The Against Nature card that's coming through at the bottom of the deck talks about, like, going with the flow. I do feel like there's something about this situation where it's kind of like you're on a Ferris wheel and you can't get off until the ride is finished, right? Like that kind of thing. So there is something here about like divine timing, about like certain things having to play out in a certain way before you can move forward. Yeah, judgment and the Ace of Wands. Okay. Very interesting. So the Ace of Wands is coming through with like passion, creativity, inspiration. There is this energy of like attraction that's also coming through. But with Judgment coming through, I feel like that's also talking about like making like it's this acknowledgement of a new perspective that I feel like you're being asked to make a decision on. Or if make a decision doesn't feel like that doesn't feel like the right way of framing it, but like to acknowledge within yourself, right? Like this new perspective that you're being asked to acknowledge within yourself about passion, creativity, inspiration, desire as well is coming through with this. The Tower. This card has been coming out so much. And it's right in the middle of the spread. It is talking to me about like a breakdown of something that was not serving you, right? Like that was not serving you. It also, for this Tower, for some reason, comes in with this energy of communication. Maybe there was a breakdown in communication that's being resolved in some way. You have the Chariot and the Queen of Pentacles. I feel like there's something like being broken down, but that there's like movement that comes from that. So maybe it was like an obstacle or something being broken down. It doesn't necessarily feel like your Tower energy, even though you have the Drowned King, but I feel like this Drowned King is more of an energy of like you having a shift in perspective about something. Knight of Swords. I do feel like there's communication coming in. Perhaps from a Queen of Pentacles. This Tower also feels like a breakdown in something that's no longer like going to work for you. You have Five of Pentacles coming out in reverse, so that could be part, like, it does feel like the Drowned King is being flipped upright, right? Like it's like you were in a state of perhaps being in a Five of Pentacles energy, which is like lack, a lack of abundance maybe, or something like that. Some sort of lack or feeling separate from something or outside of something. I do feel like that's changing for you. It's being flipped upright the way that it should be. But in the process, there's like something of a tower that's being broken down. The Hermit. Okay, I'm seeing something here with the Tower and the Ace of Wands. Again, it's this energy of like something being stripped away and it's revealing the truth or the core of something. Like the Tower being sort of like, as the metaphor, Jacob Elordi's physical attractiveness. But when you take that away, it becomes the Ace of Wands, which is like this like passion or talent or creativity or skill or ability or something like that. That is like the true core of somebody, but I feel like that's for you, Pisces. Okay, I'm gonna get like two more cards. You have the Hermit. King of Cups. Nine of Swords and the Magician. Okay. And then you have Seven of Swords at the bottom of the deck. Okay. I feel like there's something here of like somebody who feels, I don't know if this is yours, but it's kind of coming through on the other side of like somebody who's has a lot of anxiety about that's attached to their magic or their ability to create things. Like there's someone who's going through a bit of anxiety that I feel like maybe you're being asked to see for whatever reason. But the Seven of Swords and the Ace of Pentacles, like somebody may be self-sabotaging, not in a way that's like, the Seven of Swords looks more to me like the traditional Eight of Swords of like having self-limiting beliefs or saying I can't do this, right? Like that kind of energy, or this is impossible, like those kind of statements that limit ourselves. That's sort of what I'm getting with this energy. Like it's also kind of coming through as like, what do I do now? Okay, I don't know, Pisces. I'm going to leave it there. If this reading resonated with you, please like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.